The rain was heavy that night. Not just a drizzle, not just a storm. It was one of those rains that seemed endless, as if the sky itself was breaking apart. I was alone in the house, a small 2-story home, surrounded by woods on 3 sides. The kind of place that feels peaceful in the day. But when night falls and the rain starts to hammer against the walls, every shadow feels alive. The electricity flickered, once, twice, and then steadied. I remember looking at the clock on the wall, 11:48 p.m. I should have been asleep, but I wasn't. Something about nights like this always kept me restless. The sound of rain, mixed with the thought that I was completely alone. I made myself tea. The steam curled against the kitchen window, blurring the outside, but when the glass cleared for just a moment, I thought I saw something, a shape, at the edge of the trees. Still, too still. I froze, pressed my hand against the glass, stared, and then, nothing. Just shadows, just rain. I told myself I was imagining things. I do that a lot when I'm alone. But then came the sound. Knock. Not at the door, not from upstairs, but against the window, the very one I was standing by. My heart nearly stopped. I stepped back, shaking my head, trying to convince myself it was just a branch. But then it came again. Knock, knock. This time slower, deliberate, like whoever, or whatever, and was outside, wanted me to know they were there. I didn't move for a full minute. I didn't breathe. And then, gathering every ounce of courage, I slowly reached out and pulled the curtain closed. Silence. But silence in a storm doesn't mean peace. It means the danger is waiting. I turned off the kitchen light, moved into the living room, tried to distract myself with the TV, though the static of the storm kept interrupting the signal. At exactly midnight, there it was again. Knock, knock, knock. This time at a different window, the living room. Just a few feet away from where I was sitting, my stomach sank. I couldn't bring myself to look, but I could feel it. The pressure of eyes staring through the glass. I whispered to myself, "Don't move, don't move, don't move." And then my phone buzzed. The sound nearly made me scream. I grabbed it, hands trembling, and looked at the screen. It was a text message from an unknown number. 3 words. "I see you." I dropped the phone. It clattered against the hardwood floor. The screen cracked, but I didn't care. I bolted upstairs, my feet thudding against the steps louder than I wanted them to. I locked myself in my bedroom, sat against the door, trying to convince myself this was a prank, a sick joke. But then the footsteps started, not mine, not inside the house, but outside, slow, deliberate, circling the walls of the house, crunching against the gravel, splashing through puddles, getting closer and closer, until they stopped, right below my window. I crept forward, barely daring to move the curtain an inch. What I saw nearly made me faint. A face, pale, expressionless, pressed against the glass, looking up at me, unblinking. I stumbled back, nearly tripping over my bed. The lights flickered again, and this time went out. The room was swallowed in darkness, and all I could hear was the rain and the sound of that face, that thing, breathing against my window. I don't remember how long I stayed there. Maybe minutes, maybe hours. But eventually I must have blacked out. When I woke up, it was morning. The rain had stopped. The sun was out. And everything looked normal. Too normal. Except for one thing. On my window, smeared against the glass in what looked like mud, was a handprint, large, distorted, not quite human, and beneath it, written in long, streaky lines, "See you again."
The rain was relentless, sheets of water hitting the windshield, wipers struggling to keep up. I was driving home after work, late, too late, past midnight. The road stretched endlessly, narrow, empty, surrounded by open fields, swallowed in darkness. The storm had killed my radio signal. No music, no voices, just the hum of the engine and the violent hiss of rain. Then, I saw him, a figure, standing on the side of the road, soaked to the bone, head hanging low, one hand raised as if asking for help. I slowed. Against every instinct screaming, "Don't stop," I slowed down. Because who stands out in the middle of nowhere on a night like this? They had to need help. The headlights illuminated him fully. A man, mid-30s maybe. Dark hair plastered to his forehead. Eyes, hidden in shadow. He didn't move as I pulled up beside him. Didn't wave. Didn't speak. Just stared. I rolled down the window an inch. The smell of wet earth and something metallic rushed in. "Do you need a ride?" I asked. Silence. The man tilted his head, slowly, almost unnaturally. And then, he smiled. Not a grateful smile, not a relieved smile, but a grin, stretched too wide, too long. Every hair on my body stood on end. I reached for the gear shift, ready to leave. And that's when he spoke. "You shouldn't be out here tonight." His voice was wrong, low, wet, as if he had water in his lungs. I slammed my foot on the gas. The car lurched forward. The headlights caught him one last time. And then, he was gone. Not left behind. Not fading into the distance. Gone. The road was empty, as if he'd never been there. I drove faster, my heart hammering, hands trembling on the wheel. But 10 minutes later, there he was again, standing on the side of the road. Same place, same posture, same head tilt. I screamed. I couldn't stop myself. I pressed harder on the accelerator, flying down the wet asphalt. My brain scrambled for logic, for reason. Maybe I was tired. Maybe I was seeing things. But when I looked in the rearview mirror, he was sitting in the back seat, dripping wet, grinning, his breath fogging the glass. I swerved, the tires skidding against the slick road. Nearly lost control. When the car straightened, I looked again. The seat was empty. I wanted to pull over, to abandon the car, to run. But the storm was too heavy, and the road too dark. So I kept driving. Every second feeling like an eternity. Every shadow outside the car felt alive. Every sound of water slapping the roof felt like footsteps. Finally, the faint lights of my town appeared in the distance. I've never felt so much relief in my life. But then I glanced at the passenger seat. Wet footprints, trailing across the fabric, leading nowhere, and written into the fog of the window. 4 words, crooked and jagged, as if traced by a finger. "See you again soon."
The rain had been falling since the afternoon. By night, the street was empty, shining black pavement, puddles reflecting the dim glow of streetlights. I lived alone, a small apartment, 2nd floor. From my window, I could see the house across the street, old, abandoned, or at least that's what everyone said. But that night, I saw a light, a faint glow in one of the upstairs rooms. Yellow, flickering, like candlelight. I froze, because no one had lived there in years. The windows were broken, the doors boarded up, and yet, the light was there. I leaned closer to the glass, squinting through the sheets of rain. At first, nothing moved, but then I saw it, a figure, passing slowly in front of the window, tall, thin, the shape of a person holding something in their hand. I whispered to myself, "No, that's not possible." My phone buzzed, a message from my neighbor. Just 2 words, You see it? I nearly dropped the phone. I wasn't the only one watching. I typed back quickly. Yes, who is it? The reply came almost instantly. Don't look. Don't let them know you see. My chest tightened. My hands trembled. I backed away from the window, but curiosity pulled me closer again. This time, the figure wasn't upstairs. It was standing in the yard, head tilted up, staring directly at my window. I stumbled back, heart racing. The phone buzzed again. Too late. They saw you. I turned off the lights, sat in the dark. Every creak of the building felt louder. Every gust of wind sounded like footsteps on the stairs. And then, the knock. 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 At my door. Slow. Steady. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. Another knock. Harder this time. The sound echoing through the hallway. I picked up my phone, dialed my neighbor. They answered on the first ring, but their voice wasn't theirs. It was low, wet, inhuman. You shouldn't have looked. I hung up immediately, my hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped the phone. Silence again. But silence is never safety, not in moments like this. I forced myself to look out the window one last time. The house across the street was dark. The light was gone. No figure, no movement, but on my own window, drawn in the condensation from the storm. A single word appeared, as if traced by an invisible finger. Closer.